In a literal sea of rideshare negativity, one question is often asked of drivers and content creators: why are there so few positive videos online from drivers to balance out their content in this game? Well, today is a day where I have some positive news. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim with another ride sharing video. Now, I just finished up taking some trips. I make it clear I have a day job, so after work, oftentimes, if there's some surge pricing or something like that, I'll take trips. Now, I make it clear, though, I don't take trips at base fare. If there are no earnings guarantees, streak bonuses, or surge pricing going on, I don't take passengers. I do believe that base fare, that shit is just not worth it. I don't engage in base fare trips. But today was a good day, to quote Ice Cube, the rapper. Now, we had a snowstorm here in town. In my previous video, you see I had where I don't necessarily want to drive in the middle of inclement weather because increases the chance for accidents, and at the end of the day, I don't feel confident that the ride-sharing company's insurance is going to be reliable if I'm involved in a fender bender. However, today, even though some of the streets are slippery, it's not actively snowing, and there is some huge surge pricing going on. So I took a few trips. So it's a good day from that aspect. But I wanted to ask you folks a few questions. First of all, I'm going to put a trip that I took on the screen here not long ago, 3:45 p.m. you see. Now, this trip paid $10.25. This was an UberX trip, and 13 minutes of travel time, 13 minutes 8 seconds, 4.9 mile trip. So I got paid $10.24. Now keep in mind, look at the surge rate. This was surging at $4.25. And even though it was 5 miles, that trip still only paid $10.24. Back in the day, $4.25 surge on top of a damn near a 5 mile trip easily would have paid double that. So this is what we have to deal with in modern ride sharing. Nevertheless, 13 minutes of time, I got paid $10.24. That is definitely better than average as a rideshare driver. Most drivers are not making $10 every 13 minutes or whatever the case may be. You just divide that by an hour, you're talking over $40 in an hour or something like that. So a little bit better than average. But what I wanted to ask you folks is, when you're taking trips, do you leave the device on so that they can send you additional trips? I do, but I'm starting to think otherwise because, like I said, I'm driving when there's these high surges, and there's no way to know if Uber is being honest with the surges. I don't trust Uber at all. I don't trust anything about Uber. I know they play games. If you're getting a surge, or if you're getting a really nice surge, or you're getting a really nice tip, they play games with the fares and things like that. I don't trust them enough to take a trip where I can't see the complete details of it while I'm engaging with another passenger in the car. So I'm really skeptical of taking a trip while I'm on one, because you get so little time to make a decision and very little information. However, I have done it. And I want to find out from you folks, do you take trips while on trips, or do you turn that completely off until you drop the passenger off? Now, two things I want to discuss. First of all, there is the fear of missing out. That is a huge issue, fear of missing out. And what I mean by that is, we know surges are like musical chairs. They come and they go. There's different areas you can be in, things like that. So if, let's say you got a trip, things are going well when you're in a surge market. You got a passenger gets in your car, they're going to be in your car, like this case, for 13 minutes and 8 seconds. By the time you're done, surges may be completely gone. Whereas if you had left the device on to accept trips, you could have gotten another surge trip during that 13 minutes. So I'm skeptical of turning it off in the middle of a surge. However, I also am hesitant to trust Uber, because I do believe if you got a passenger in the car, which they absolutely are aware of, and you're driving in a $5 surge market, they may offer you a trip in that same area at $2 surge. You don't know. You can't see the map. So I don't trust Uber. So to some degree, you don't know what the hell to do. What I generally do when I leave it on to get trips while I got a passenger in the car, I look at the distance the passenger is away from me and how much it's surging. In other words, surge price of $4, the passenger is 3 miles away, I'm not going to take it. Surge price of $4 and the passenger is 0.6 miles away, I'll take it. For me, the number one parameter that decides whether I accept trips or not is the distance the passenger is away from me. Like I say all the time, if a passenger is more than 3 miles away from me, the chances of me accepting that trip are very, very low. Unless it's $5 surge or higher. I just don't believe it makes sense with what we earn as drivers to travel even a moderate distance to pick somebody up. I like to pick up passengers generally less than 2 miles. Now, I understand that this is not going to resonate with folks who operate in more rural areas. If you got to drive on average 5-10 miles to pick everybody up, there's no way you're going to be limiting yourself to 2 mile pickups. I mean, I get it, but if you're driving in Los Angeles or Chicago or St. Louis somewhere, you absolutely can do this. And I'm not in a very large market right now, but yeah, I don't drive very far because I'm trying to really, really cut my losses in a industry where they are determined to make us fucking lose money. So you got to come up with every different trick in the books to stop them from constantly finding ways to pay you less and less and get you to do more and more. And also a lot of things you're seeing on the other rideshare channels that the tricks they play, that shit is happening. A good example is I'm noticing if I'm in a decent surge market and a passenger gives me a decent tip, the overall price of the trip makes no sense other than they have cut down what I normally would have earned because of the high surge and the high tip. I've had trips where if you take the tip away from what you earned, it makes no sense. Like, this trip would not have been even worth sending to me if it wasn't for this tip. They added, they took down the price of the trip because you got this big ass tip. In other words, let's say you do a trip that normally would have paid $5, but a passenger gets in your vehicle and on that $5 trip, you get a $10 tip. You should receive $15, but because of what they're doing, it's going to be like 13, 12. I'm just throwing out some random numbers, but what I'm pointing out is I strongly believe that the size of your tip can affect the price of your trip. Let me know if you guys have seen anything like that. Or am I just coming out of left field with this? But I do believe if you get a good tip, they cut down your trip price. And the same thing with the surge price. And I do believe if you're in a pretty good surge, they also do it. So, but I just wanted to run this by you folks to see if you leave the if you leave it on where you can accept trips while you're taking them, because I do have that fear of missing out. Surge pricing comes and goes so damn quick. So if I got a trip and the passenger's going to be in the car for more than 5 minutes, I want to see what other surge trips are hitting me up. But at the same time, as I stated, even if I'm in a really good surge area, because I cannot see the actual map with all the surge pricing indicators on it, and Uber knows that, I could be in a really high surging area and they will cut some of that off and send it to you. You're in an area where it's surging $6. But because you can't see the shit, you got a passenger in the car and you got GPS on the screen, they'll send you that same trip with a $4 surge. You don't know it's at $6. I've had that happen. And last but not least, don't ever fucking chase a surge. I mean, even 3 or 4 blocks, they are moving shit like musical chairs. You get these big surges. I had a surge in town. Most of the surges were between $3 and $5. Down the street, maybe a half a mile, $8.50 surge. I got to get out and go. I drive down the street, the $8.50 drops to $3.25. And all of a sudden, trips start popping up. But when I was in the other area, every trip popped up had nothing to do with that $8.25 surge or $8.50 or whatever it was. Couldn't get a single trip from that. Drive to the area, the whole fucking surge disappears. But then, maybe 2 miles up the road, there's another one for $6. Don't chase that shit. Do not chase that shit. I've been on the highway simply driving as prescribed after dropping somebody off, heading home for the end of the day, I'm done. Big surge pops up. Now it's ahead where I'm headed, okay? There's a $9 surge at the exit I gotta get off of. You bet every single time when you hit that area, that $9 is gone. It's gone. It's clear that they move surges based on what you're doing. They put surges out there that you have no opportunity of getting simply to make you move to that area. Have you seen any of this? Or am I just pulling it out my ass? Have you seen any surges just magically move because you got in the area? Or you're sitting 2 blocks away from a really high surge, and for some reason not a single trip comes up from that area, sending you all over fucking town. But you're telling me this area right down the street is so busy, it's surging this high, and not one trip is coming from it. I'm getting shit 10, 15 miles away, 5, 10 miles away, whatever. I may be exaggerating because I ain't driving that far anyway. But have you seen that? Let your boy know in the comments. You seeing this shit? Because I'm just like, this is amazing. It's your boy Tim, as always. Subscribe to the damn channel. See you in the next video.